I'd been living alone in my cramped Seattle apartment for 2 years when I decided I needed a roommate. Rent was creeping up, and the solitude was starting to wear on me. Too many nights with just the hum of the fridge for company. So I posted an ad on Craigslist. Quiet, tidy female seeks same. $600 per month, utility split. No pets, no drama. Within a day, I got a reply from someone named Lily. Her email was short but polite. Moving to the city for a fresh start. I'm clean, quiet, and I pay on time. Can I see the place? She attached a blurry selfie, petite, dark hair, a shy smile. Good enough for me. Lily showed up the next afternoon, a duffel bag slung over her shoulder and a beat-up suitcase in hand. She was smaller than I'd pictured, maybe 5 feet 2 inches, with sharp green eyes that flicked around the apartment like she was casing it. Looks perfect, she said, her voice soft but steady. We chatted over coffee. She said she was 26, a freelance writer, recently out of a bad breakup. I liked her vibe, reserved but warm, like she'd open up once she settled in. I handed her the spare key that day. The first week was fine. She kept to herself, mostly in her room, tapping away at her laptop. She paid her share of the rent in cash, crisp 50s, which I thought was odd, but didn't question. Money's money. I'd hear her pacing at night sometimes, faint footsteps circling her room, but I figured she was a night owl. Writers, right? Then I found the box. I'd been vacuuming the hall closet, moving her suitcase to reach a corner, when it tipped over and spilled. Not much came out, just a few clothes and a small, locked metal box, no bigger than a book. It rattled when I picked it up, something heavy shifting inside. I didn't mean to snoop, but the lock was scratched, like someone had tried to pry it open. Before I could decide what to do, I heard her door creak. Hey, Tara. Lily called, her tone casual but edged. You okay out there? I shoved the box back, heart thudding. Yeah, just cleaning. I yelled, forcing a laugh. She didn't come out, but I felt her watching. That night, the pacing stopped. Instead, I heard a faint scraping, like metal on metal, coming from her room. The scraping sound stuck with me. It wasn't loud, more like a whisper of metal brushing metal, but it came from Lily's room every night after that, always around 2 a.m. I'd lie in bed, eyes on the ceiling, trying to place it. A knife sharpening? A tool on a lock. My mind spun wild theories. Maybe she was building something or breaking something apart. By the third night, I couldn't ignore it. I had to know. I waited until the apartment was still, the city's hum fading outside. Slipping out of bed, I padded barefoot to her door, the hardwood cold under my feet. The scraping was louder up close, rhythmic, almost trance-like. I pressed my ear to the wood, holding my breath. There was a pause, then a soft thud, like something dropped, followed by Lily muttering, "Not yet, not yet." Her voice was low, urgent, talking to herself. Or someone else. I backed away, my pulse racing. She hadn't gone out much since moving in. Just quick trips for groceries, always back within an hour. Her laptop stayed on her desk, screen dark whenever I passed by. I'd assumed she was writing, but now I wondered. What kind of freelancer works in cash and whispers in the dark? The next morning, I tested her. Over coffee, I kept it casual. You're up late a lot, I said, stirring sugar into my mug. Writing deadlines? She froze mid-sip, her green eyes flicking to me over the rim. Yeah, she said after a beat, setting the mug down. Inspiration hits at weird hours. Sorry if I'm loud. No big deal. I lied, smiling. Just curious what you're working on. Short stories, she said, too quick. Dark stuff. Keeps me up. She stood, rinsing her mug, ending the conversation. I watched her go, noting the tension in her shoulders. She was hiding something. I could feel it. That afternoon, I got bold. She'd left for one of her grocery runs, and I slipped into her room. It was sparse, bed made, desk bare except for the laptop, which was locked with a password. Under the bed, though, I found a folded newspaper clipping, yellowed and creased. The headline hit me like a punch. Local woman missing, last seen with unidentified companion. Below it, a grainy photo of a dark-haired girl. She looked like Lily. Too much like Lily. The newspaper clipping burned in my hand, the blurry photo of the unidentified companion staring up at me. It was Lily, or someone who could have been her twin. Same dark hair, same sharp jawline. Even the tilt of her head matched the way she'd lean when she thought I wasn't looking. The article was from a small town 3 hours away, dated 2 years ago. 23-year-old Emily Hart vanished after a night out. Witnesses saw her with a woman, 5 feet 2 inches, dark hair, green eyes. Police have no leads. My stomach twisted. Lily fit the description perfectly. I shoved the clipping back under her bed, my hands shaking. Was she on the run? A witness? Or worse, the one who made Emily disappear? I tried to steady my breathing, but the apartment felt smaller, the walls leaning in. That metal box, the scraping noises, her cash payments, it all pointed somewhere dark. I needed answers, but confronting her felt like stepping into a trap. She got back 20 minutes later, a grocery bag rustling in her arms. "Hey," she said, breezy as ever, setting it on the counter. "Need anything?" I forced a smile, my voice tight. "Nah, I'm good." "You?" She glanced at me, her green eyes lingering a second too long. "Fine," she said, unpacking apples with deliberate care. I retreated to my room, locking the door for the first time since she'd moved in. Sleep didn't come easy. The scraping started again at 2 a.m., sharper now, like she wasn't hiding it anymore. The next day, I dug deeper. I Googled Emily Hart's case on my phone, hunched over my desk at work. Old articles popped up, her family pleading for tips, a blurry security cam still of 2 women outside a bar. The companion's face was a smudge, but the height, the build, it could be Lily. One forum post caught my eye. A user claiming Emily's car was found abandoned, put up, with a strange symbol scratched into the paint, a jagged spiral. No one knew what it meant. I got home late, hoping Lily was asleep. She wasn't. She sat at the kitchen table, the metal box open in front of her. Inside, a tangle of keys, a knife, and something small jewelry? She didn't look up. "You've been quiet, Tara," she said, her voice low. "Something on your mind?" Lily's words hung in the kitchen like smoke. "Something on your mind?" She sat there, calm as a statue, the open metal box between us spilling its secrets onto the table. My eyes flicked to its contents, a rusted knife, a dozen mismatched keys, and a silver bracelet, its charm dangling, catching the overhead light. My throat tightened. Was that Emily Hart's? I couldn't move, couldn't breathe, pinned by her steady gaze. "Yeah," I said finally, forcing my voice to hold. "Just tired. Long day." It was a weak dodge, and she knew it. Her lips twitched, not quite a smile, as she picked up the knife, running her thumb along its edge. "You're a bad liar, Tara," she said, her tone almost playful. "You've been jumpy. Snooping, maybe." She set the knife down, nudging the bracelet next to it. "Found anything interesting?" My heart slammed against my ribs. She knew about the clipping, the closet, maybe even my locked door. I gripped the counter behind me, steadying myself. "What's with the box, Lily?" I asked, nodding at it. "That's not writer stuff." She leaned back, crossing her arms. "It's a project. Research. I told you I write dark stories." "Research?" I echoed, incredulous. "With knives and bracelets? Whose are they?" Her eyes darkened, but she didn't flinch. "They're props. Inspiration. You wouldn't get it. Your life's all neat and tidy, right? No loose ends." I bristled. "Don't turn this on me. You've been weird since you moved in, cash payments, night pacing, that scraping. What are you hiding?" For a moment, she said nothing, just watched me. Then she stood, slow and deliberate, sliding the box closer to her. "You want the truth?" she asked, her voice dropping. "I'm running. From a past I can't shake. That's all you need to know." "Running from what?" I pressed, stepping forward despite myself. "Emily Hart?" Her face changed shock, then something colder. "You've been busy," she said, her hand hovering over the knife. "What do you think you know?" "I know she disappeared," I said, my voice shaking but firm. "And you look a hell of a lot like the woman she was last seen with." Lily's fingers closed around the knife, but she didn't lift it. "Careful, Tara," she whispered. "Digging gets you buried." She turned and walked to her room, box in hand, leaving me alone with the echo of her threat. Lily's parting words, "Digging gets you buried," rang in my head as her door clicked shut, the metal box vanishing with her. The kitchen felt colder, the bracelet's glint still burned into my vision. Was it a threat or a warning? I couldn't tell, but my gut screamed she wasn't bluffing. I locked my bedroom door that night, shoving a chair under the knob for good measure. Sleep didn't come, the scraping started again, louder, closer, like it was right outside my room. By morning, I was a wreck, caffeine barely holding me together. Lily was gone when I emerged, no note, no sign of her usual coffee mug. The apartment was too quiet, unnaturally still. I checked her room on impulse, the door unlocked for once. Her bed was made, Laptop gone. But something caught my eye, a faint spiral scratched into the hardwood floor near her desk. It matched the symbol from Emily Hart's car in that forum post, jagged, uneven, like it had been carved with a knife. My skin crawled. Had she done this last night? I snapped a photo with my phone, hands trembling, then searched her desk drawers. Empty except for a crumpled receipt, gas station, dated 2 days ago, from a town halfway to where Emily disappeared. It wasn't proof, but it was something. I stuffed it in my pocket, my mind racing. Was Lily a killer? A fugitive? Or just tangled in someone else's mess? I called in sick to work, too jittery to focus, and dug deeper online. Emily's case had gone cold. No suspects, no body, just that abandoned car with the spiral. One article mentioned a missing bracelet, silver, with a heart charm. My breath caught. It fit the one in Lily's box perfectly. I paced the apartment, replaying our fight. She dodged my questions, turned it back on me, but that flinch when I said Emily's name, she knew her. The front door rattled mid-thought, Lily stepping in with a grocery bag. She froze, seeing me in the hall, her eyes narrowing. Thought you'd be at work, she said. Her tone clipped. Called out, I replied, watching her. Found something interesting under your bed. Her jaw tightened, bag dropping to the floor. You're pushing it, Tara, she said, stepping closer. Stop now, or you won't like what happens next. Lily's threat, stop now, or you won't like what happens next, hung heavy as she loomed in the hallway, the grocery bag abandoned at her feet. Her green eyes burned with something raw, anger, fear, maybe both. I should have backed off, but the spiral on her floor, the bracelet, Emily Hart's ghost, they clawed at me. I couldn't stop. What's the spiral mean, Lily? I asked, holding up my phone with the photo. Same one from Emily's car. Coincidence? Her face went slack for a split second, then hardened. You don't know what you're talking about, she said, her voice low, stepping closer. Drop it, Tara. I can't, I shot back, my own fear turning to defiance. That bracelet in your box, it's hers, isn't it? Emily's? What did you do to her? She lunged before I could react, slamming me against the wall, her forearm pinning my throat. The phone clattered to the floor, the spiral photo glaring up at us. You think you've got me figured out? She hissed, her breath hot on my face. You're wrong. You're so wrong. I clawed at her arm, gasping. Then tell me, what's the truth? She eased off, just enough for me to breathe, her grip trembling. The truth, she said, bitter. The truth is I didn't kill her. She was my friend, my everything. That spiral? We carved it together, drunk one night, laughing about how we'd mark the world. Then she vanished. I stared at her, my neck throbbing. Vanished? You were the last one with her. I know, she snapped, letting me go and stepping back. I blacked out that night, too much whiskey. Woke up alone in her car, that spiral on the hood. She was gone. Cops thought I did it, but they couldn't prove it. I ran, new name, new life. That box? It's all I have left of her. I rubbed my throat, reeling. Why keep it secret? Why the knife, the scraping? To protect myself, she said, her voice cracking. Someone's still looking for me, her brother, maybe. He thinks I'm guilty. The scraping's me sharpening that knife, every night, waiting. The apartment creaked, and her head whipped toward the window. They're close, she whispered, grabbing the bag. You've just made it worse. She bolted to her room, leaving me stunned, the spiral shadow etched in my mind. Lily's confession left me frozen in the hallway, her words tumbling through my head. I didn't kill her. Someone's still looking for me. The bruise blooming on my throat ached as I replayed her panic, the way she'd glanced at the window like a hunted animal. She'd slammed her door after grabbing the grocery bag, the lock clicking with finality. I picked up my phone, the spiral photo still glaring up, and stumbled to the couch, my legs weak. Was she telling the truth? Or spinning a story to keep me quiet? I wanted to believe her. Those green eyes had cracked with something real when she said Emily was everything. But the knife, the keys, the cash, it didn't add up to innocence. I rubbed my neck, torn between calling the cops and digging more. Then I heard it, a faint tap outside, like a branch against glass. I froze, peering at the living room window. Nothing but darkness and the faint glow of a streetlight. My pulse kicked up. Imagination, I told myself. Just the wind. But it tapped again, deliberate. I crept closer, parting the blinds. A figure stood across the street, a man, tall, hooded, staring up at our building. He didn't move, just watched, his face shadowed. My breath caught. Lily's whisper, they're close, slammed back. Was this him? Emily's brother? I ducked away, heart hammering, and grabbed my phone to text her. Someone's outside. Watching. Her door flew open seconds later, her face pale, the metal box clutched in one hand, the knife in the other. "What's he look like?" she demanded, crossing to the window in 2 strides. "Tall. Hooded," I said, joining her. "Still there." She peeked out, then swore under her breath. "That's him. Ryan. He's been tracking me since I left." She turned to me, eyes wild. "He thinks I killed her, won't stop till he proves it. Or worse." "Worse," I echoed, dread pooling. "What's he want?" "Me dead," she said flatly. "Or the truth. I don't know which anymore." The figure shifted, stepping closer to our building. Lily gripped the knife tighter. "We need to go now," she said. "He's not here to talk." I hesitated, my life flashing. Job, apartment, normalcy. All crumbling because of her. "Where?" I asked, voice shaking. "Anywhere but here," she said, already moving. "Grab your keys." Lily's command, "Grab your keys," snapped me into motion. I stumbled to my room, snatching my car keys from the dresser, my mind a blur of fear and doubt. The man outside, Ryan, she'd called him, stood closer now, his hooded shape visible through the blinds, a predator sizing up prey. Lily waited by the front door, the metal box under her arm, knife still in hand. "Hurry," she hissed, her voice taut. I grabbed my jacket, hesitating. "We should call the cops," I said, fumbling for my phone. "No time," she shot back, yanking the door open. "He'll be gone before they get here, or we will. Move." I followed her into the hall, the building's fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. The stairwell echoed with our footsteps as we raced down, my sneakers slipping on the worn steps. Lily stayed 2 paces ahead, her small frame coiled with urgency. Outside, the night air hit us, damp and sharp, the street empty except for Ryan's silhouette, now crossing toward our building, hands in his pockets. "My car," I said, pointing to the old Honda parked half a block away. We sprinted, my keys jangling, adrenaline drowning out the ache in my throat. I unlocked it, sliding into the driver's seat as Lily threw herself in beside me, the box clattering to the floor. The engine sputtered, then caught, and I peeled out, tires squealing. In the rear view, Ryan stopped, watching us go, his hood still hiding his face. "Where to?" I asked, my voice shaking as I merged onto the highway, city lights streaking past. "Out of Seattle," Lily said, scanning the mirrors. "Somewhere he can't follow. A motel, maybe, cash only." I gripped the wheel, her words sinking in. "Who is he, really?" "Emily's brother. What's his deal?" She exhaled, running a hand through her hair. "Ryan Hart. Older by 5 years. Ex-military, obsessive. He never bought my story. Thinks I staged the blackout, ditched her body. He's been chasing me since I skipped town. Found me twice before, once in Portland, once in Boise. Leaves that spiral wherever he goes, like a calling card. I don't know if he wants proof or revenge." "Revenge." I glanced at her, the road blurring. "You think he'd kill me?" she finished, her voice flat. "Yeah. Or you, now that you're with me." She clutched the knife tighter, eyes on the dark behind us. "He's not stopping." The highway stretched dark and endless, my Honda's headlights slicing through the night as Lily's words echoed. "He's not stopping." Ryan Hart, ex-military, obsessed, maybe a killer, loomed in my mind, his hooded figure burned into every shadow we passed. I drove for an hour, hands sweaty on the wheel, until a flickering neon sign appeared. Motel 6, vacancy. Lily nodded. "There. Cash only. Pull in." I parked near the back, away from the road, the lot half empty under buzzing lights. Lily handed me a wad of 50s from her pocket, more cash than I'd seen her carry. "Get us a room," she said, her voice low. "1 bed's fine. Keep it under your name." Inside, the clerk barely looked up, taking my money and sliding a key across the counter. "Room 12, 2nd floor." I led Lily up the stairs, her steps quick, the metal box rattling under her arm. The room smelled of stale smoke and bleach, but the lock worked, and the blinds shut tight. She dropped the box on the bed, knife beside it, and checked the window. "No one yet," she muttered, more to herself. I sank into a chair, exhaustion crashing over me. "How long can we keep running?" I asked, my throat still raw from her grip yesterday. "He's got no proof, just a hunch." "Why's he so sure you're guilty?" Lily paced, her green eyes restless. "Because I ran. Innocent people don't run, Tara. And because of this, she opened the box, pulling out the bracelet, silver, heart charm glinting. Emily's. She wore it every day. Ryan saw it on me once, before I left. Thinks I took it off her body. Did you? I asked, the question slipping out before I could stop it. She glared, then softened. No. She gave it to me that night. Said it was a promise we'd stick together. I don't even remember why. Everything's fuzzy after the bar. I stared at the bracelet, then noticed something else in the box, a folded note, tucked under the keys. What's that? I pointed. Lily hesitated, then pulled it out, unfolding it. Her face paled. It's Ryan's handwriting, she whispered. You can't hide forever. Spiral's coming. She dropped it, hands shaking. He's been in my stuff, before I moved in. A car door slammed outside. We froze, peering through the blinds. A truck idled in the lot, hooded driver, staring up. The truck's headlights glared up at us from the motel lot, Ryan's hooded figure motionless behind the wheel. Lily clutched the knife, her breathing shallow, the note, spirals coming, crumpled on the floor. My chest tightened, every nerve screaming to run, but there was nowhere left. He'd found us, just like she'd feared. He's here, I whispered, my voice barely audible over the hum of the engine below. Lily nodded, her eyes hard. Stay back. I'll handle it. No, I said, grabbing her arm. We're in this together now. He's not getting you, or me, without a fight. She hesitated, then handed me the bracelet. Hold this. If I don't make it, give it to her family. Tell them I didn't. Her voice broke, but she straightened, gripping the knife like a lifeline. We crept downstairs, the motel's rusty railing cold under my hand. Ryan stepped out as we hit the pavement, his hood falling back, tall, broad, with a scarred jaw and eyes like steel. He held no weapon, just stood there, hands loose. Lily, he said, his voice rough. End of the line. She stepped forward, knife raised. I didn't kill her, Ryan. I swear. Then why'd you run? He growled, pulling a photo from his jacket. Emily, smiling, the bracelet on her wrist. Why'd you keep that? She gave it to me. Lily shouted, tears streaking her face. That night, I blacked out. I don't know what happened. He lunged, faster than I expected, knocking the knife from her hand. I yelled, swinging the bracelet's chain at his face. It caught his cheek, a thin red line blooming. He staggered, and Lily tackled him, pinning him to the gravel. Listen, she screamed. I loved her. She was my best friend. Ryan stopped struggling, his breath heaving. Then who did it? I don't know, she sobbed. But I found this after. She pulled a key from her pocket, one from the box, scratched with a spiral. It was in her car. Not mine. He stared at it, then at me. You believe her? He asked, voice cracking. I nodded, shaky. She's scared, not guilty. Sirens wailed in the distance. Someone had called the cops. Ryan slumped, defeated. Go, he muttered. Before they pin it on you. We drove off, the bracelet heavy in my hand, the spiral's mystery unsolved. Lily stared ahead, free but haunted. Thanks, she whispered. I didn't reply, just kept driving.